Mbalula, as a former minister, his crime can't be as a former minister. Therefore, he must come because he's a former minister. For what? Who said Mbalula did what? Who said Kgalema did what? Who said President Mbeki did what? Who said former Minister Jeff Radebe did what? No one. You can't be at this level wanting to, be petty and reduce the whole thing into some petty squabbling. It's well and good if you remember the input on President Zuma about windows not opening. And that's the only thing you remember, windows. But there was an issue there of crime where an acting police commissioner is given an illegal instruction to commit crime. And he reports that to President Zuma. And President Zuma does nothing about it. Instead of saying, what are they trying to do as an executive authority? Why would they give such an illegal instruction for you to do such a thing that is not in order with the laws of this country? Let me attend to this minister. Let me do. No, he says, no, sit here until I get someone to replace you. That is illegal. Now, to take us to be mechanics and want to check if the car was really not opening windows, that's petty, man. There are so many things that have been said there. Some are even extremely petty, but for us as leadership is to separate those petty issues with real issues that will help to restore the image of a criminal justice system in South Africa. It's not helping what we're trying to do. The same thing that you are keeping on wanting to insist on General Khan. You want to call a person because he has been praised for having engaged in a successful operation, which is his duty. You want to call a person because someone suspects that he might be part of a faction and he has not given you anything material to suggest that Khan has done this or that, and this is the story. No. There are so many people who have been mentioned. If that is the criteria we're using, we must go back to the record, and every name that gets to be called, we need to write it down because that's your criteria. That's how you want to go about it. Then it means we must call that lady who was hired. They say is not qualified, and Mukwana says is qualified. He gives example about her because she's mentioned. She must be called. Then we must call that journalist that Mukwana said the journalists are captured, and then he gives example of a captured journalist because he's mentioned. He must be called. He gives an example of a magistrate who has done this or that, and because that magistrate has been mentioned, must be called. It doesn't work like that. You ought to apply your mind as to what is the significance of this reference that has been made to certain people's names. If that is not going to add any value or weight to this process, they are not worth repeating. They are not worth calling here. I'm interested in Honorable Glenis Bredenbach because she was dealing, and she was very strong at the time, dealing with Mutluli's issue. And then there's a story that Mkwanas was called to drop the case against Mutluli, and on the other side, Mutluli's case also get to be dropped, and Honorable Bredenbach was at the center of it. Was she also being subjected to the same thing that Mukwanas was subjected to, that we draw this thing, otherwise there's going to be a problem? So there is substance to that, but I don't understand why is Ian Cameron called, for instance, that he was chairing a committee, and then a presentation was made, and General Mkwanas makes that point that the issue was made at the end, and there was no opportunity really for the committee to engage, as it were, in that way. So why are we bringing Bredenbach? Why are we bringing Ian Cameron if we are not being partisan? All of us know our members, for instance, all of them were there. If Ian didn't do anything, what did Mateus do? What did so-and-so do as members of that committee and all of that? So the matters were not properly canvassed at that committee, hence we are here now. And let's deal with these issues without wanting to be a partisan. I mean, why would you, under the sun, want to call former President Madlanga to do what? It can't be, it cannot be correct that everybody else must just be dragged into this thing and then must all live painted with the same brush. These are leaders of society. These are people that, whether they belong to our parties or not, we ought to respect them. Where there's no issue, let's not drag them into issues where they are not involved. If anything, we must not perpetuate the factionalism that is happening at SAPS by wanting to reduce this matter into factional politics and partisan politics. We are here to help the country to rescue that institution. And I don't think Mbeki, Malema, Ratebe, Balula, Cameroon, Khan are going to help us with anything. You're going to live a day or two to come and ask Khan. They say you are a part of a faction. Are you part of a faction? He says, I don't know anything about any faction. And then what are you going to produce to prove that Khan is part of any faction? Except that he's being suspected and all of that. And then we are told when Kumalo comes, he will come with something concrete. Meaning, Mkwanas himself agrees that he's got nothing concrete on Khan. He says, no, someone else is going to come. Where we are seated now, with nothing on Khan, except that he went to do a good job. He got exonerated when he went to the DC, and then he continued with his job. So I'm really appealing, Chair. And for me, I'm not strong about any other thing I'm raising now, because the evidence leaders in their own consultation with the people who are mentioning, they will realize that some of these things, they themselves do not know which questions to pose to these people. And as a result, they're going to come back and say, on this round, we don't think, these are the people that we think we must interview. And then we're going to come back here and say, no, but we raised so-and-so. Why is this so-and-so not there? They will not have found anything, because seated here, we have nothing. So let's not be party line when it comes to these issues. Let's be objective and let's try and help the institution. There was a strong feeling about Honorable Kolabana, the strong feeling about Honorable Adams. They are worth being called because they were being used as examples of politicians that are entangled in this mess. And we may need to want to hear their side, especially as serving members of parliament, correctly so. So we save the face of the institution of parliament. We may want to hear to what extent are they familiar with these issues, and what protocols did they follow to come to a conclusion on certain issues that could have been handled differently as suggested by General Mkwanas. But Chair, otherwise, I'm comfortable with the rest of the list. Thank you.
Honorable Mwango, Advocate Adgar, I'm seeing you. I will recognize you. Let me take Honorable Sauls.
I'm on the floor, Chair.
I mean, Honorable Mwango, I'm sorry.
Well, thank you, Honorable Chair. In fact, I cannot agree with Honorable Malema more that we should really, at all costs, guard against, being perceived to be petty about this exercise, and that we should really also guard against being perceived to be wanting to settle old political scores. using this forum. So those people who really are not going to be adding any value to what you are trying to achieve, honestly, I also personally do not see why we should call them. Unless there is a part of the evidence that they can actually assist in drawing clarity on. Other than that, we can't use use the fact that they were mentioned as a criterion to invite them to come and appear. Otherwise, we are going to actually become petty and be perceived to be actually using this forum to settle old political scores, and which would be very unfortunate out there. So I would actually be comfortable with this list, and that we really also need to go through it with a fine comb to establish exactly what role in the evidence and in the exercise that you are involved in each one of them is going to be adding any value. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Honorable Sauls.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with Honorable Sangon, and I agree with Honorable Malema on the issue of pettiness. I disagree with Honorable Malema on one issue only, and that is the justification for Honorable Ian Cameron's name, because that's the name I've obviously given. I disagree with him when he says that we must call the whole committee of police because other party members are there. My reasoning is based on Rule 158 of our annual rules, subsection 2B. It presents the chairperson of a committee and empowers the chairperson of the committee to act in any matter on behalf of and in the best interest of the committee, in the committee's absence. In that instance, it talks about arranging a committee meeting to hear evidence without the committee even knowing. And then subsection 3 says all he must do is he must report to the committee thereafter of the steps that has been taken. So the way we view the chairperson is that the chairperson acts on behalf of the committee. So in this instance, I'm saying Honorable Ian Cameron comes on behalf of the committee as the chair, as per our rules, and acts on their behalf. Why? What justifies him to come? One, our terms of reference is clear that if the main witness has made allegations, we must investigate all the allegations. The main witness has named Honorable Ian Cameron and said that when he exhausted all remedial mechanisms after the 5th of March, it made him feel that he's now done everything and no one is doing anything, including Parliament. And for that reason, he then went to do the press conference. So the meeting of 5 March has a key role in why we find ourselves here. Lastly, when looking at the minutes of the meeting of 5th March that Honorable Ian Cameron has presided over, General Nkanazi outlines everything he mentioned at the press conference. So no one is blaming Honorable Ian Cameron. We're just merely saying, like you call everyone, like you call Honorable Adams, like you call Honorable Breitenbach and others, in the same way, because of the allegations, we are calling Honorable Ian Cameron. And all he will come and do is witness based on the allegation. Did he not do anything? What did he do? Because the main witness puts him at the center of why he had to go do the press conference. And that's the reasoning behind this. It's not mudslinging. It's not targeted. It's merely based on our terms of reference and fairness. I thank you, gentlemen.
Honorable Vessels.
Thank you, Chairperson. I can also not see that going back to the appointment of late Jackie Selebi will add any value to this investigation. So I can also not see the value that former President Thabo Mbeki will add. I didn't hear conclusive motivation for former President Mkhitaryan. I don't understand the motivation for former Minister Jeff Radebe. And I also don't think that former Minister Fikile Mbalula will add much value to our investigation. So I do agree with former speakers. I don't have a view on the Honourable Cameron. I agree with the Honourable Malema, but I also hear what the Honourable Souls are saying. Yes, I won't add anything more. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable James.
Thank you, Chair. I partially agree with most of the speakers who spoke, and I'm sitting and thinking, how do we sort of develop a witness identification tool where we sort of, like I said earlier on when we just started with this witness identification list, where we sort of have a more strategic way of linking witnesses to the testimonies that's been given based on the weight of the implication and our terms of reference. It's almost like when you do your cases and you link your dockets based on what's in the docket and sort of the amount of times a person was mentioned and specifically linking that person to the desired outcome. And I think that is going to help us, because right now, if we haven't identified sort of why are we doing this, what is the outcome, we're going to be all over the place. And we're going to be calling anyone. I think it's been said 100 times. I don't want to repeat what everyone has said. But I think we need assistance as a committee in terms of having a tool that can help us identify witnesses that will come and add value to what we are trying to do here. Thank you, Chair. But otherwise, I guess I'm covered. I just don't agree with all those former presidents that's going to come. We didn't think that one through. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. I see. I have 4 hands here. I have recognized Advocate Atikari from Parliament Legal Services. And there is the name of Honorable Skosana, Honorable Ngola, Honorable Ntuli. I just want to check if these hands that are here are the last hands, or if there is any other member who may want to raise a hand. Your time is now to raise hands. Okay. I'm not seeing any hand. Let me go with that list. So the last hand.
My hand is there. Oh, okay.
The last hand is the hand of Honorable Shongwe. Okay. Advocate Atikari.
Breaking news. Julius Malema's alleged arrest shocks South Africa. Madlanga finally reacts? If you've just heard the reports flying around, don't rush to believe everything yet, because this story is becoming more interesting by the minute. Claims about Julius Malema's alleged arrest have spread quickly, leaving many South Africans asking one big question: what is really happening? But that is not even the biggest surprise. attention is now shifting to Justice Madlanga after reports suggested he has finally reacted. Is there really an official response, or is something else happening behind the scenes? Stay with me because every new detail changes the picture. Julius Malema has always been one of South Africa's most outspoken political leaders. Whenever his name appears in a major headline, emotions rise across the country. Supporters want answers. Critics are watching closely. Everyone wants to know the truth. And now, this latest development has created even more questions than answers. Was there really an arrest? If so, what led to it? If not, who started the reports, and why are they spreading so fast? Those are the questions many people are asking right now. But here comes the twist. The discussion is no longer only about Julius Malema. Many eyes have now turned to Justice Madlanga. His name appearing alongside this developing story has made even more people curious. Could his reported reaction change how this situation is understood? Or is there another explanation that has not yet been revealed? Keep watching because the facts matter more than the rumors. And while we continue to follow every verified update, take 1 second to like this video and subscribe. It helps us bring you fast, balanced political updates without missing the important details. Now, the timeline of this story is where things become even more interesting. I'll continue from where the opening stopped. Now, the timeline of this story is where things become even more interesting. The first reports began spreading across social media at high speed. Within a short time, thousands of people were sharing the claims. Some believed them immediately. Others urged everyone to wait for official confirmation. That is where this story takes another turn. In major political stories like this, the first information is not always the full picture. Sometimes details change. Sometimes important facts only come out later. That is why it is important to separate verified information from online speculation. But here's the twist. The name of Justice Madlanga has now entered the conversation, making many South Africans even more curious. Viewers are asking whether there has been an official reaction and what it could mean for the political landscape. Could this become one of the biggest political stories of the year? Or is there another development that everyone is waiting to hear? That is exactly why this story has captured so much attention. Julius Malema has remained one of the most influential voices in South African politics. Whether you support him or disagree with him, his actions often dominate national discussions. Every major development involving him attracts attention from political leaders, supporters, critics, and international observers. And because of that, every new update matters. One confirmed statement can completely change the direction of the story. One official announcement can answer questions that millions of people have been asking. But until those verified details are available, it is important not to jump to conclusions. That is something many viewers appreciate because accuracy matters just as much as speed. If you value updates that focus on verified information instead of rumors, make sure you have subscribed and turned on notifications. That way, you'll be among the first to know when there is an official development. Now, let me ask you something. If there is a confirmed statement from the authorities, what impact do you think it could have on South Africa's political future? Would it strengthen some political figures? Or would it completely change the conversation heading into the next major political season? Stay with us, because this developing story may not be over yet. As soon as new verified information becomes available, we will bring you every important update. Until then, the biggest question remains: what really happened and what comes next? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.